Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general mid-month reading for the sign of Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Descendant for the last 2 weeks of December 2020. How did we get here? Longest and shortest year of my life. Absolute madness. So, going to be using the Earthstone, Earthflesh and Bonestone tarot for you today. So I briefly forgot its name there. Just wanted to let you know that I've done a 6-month overview for 2020 if you are interested, covering obviously January to June. They're quite long, they're about, well, they're all at least an hour long, so we run into hour and 40 minutes, so I think they're worth the money. If you're interested in that, there's a link in the description box. You can follow that to Vimeo and that will be in there for you. Do I have anything else to say? I don't think so. Ignore the banging in the background. My daughter is on her 3rd hour of trying to construct a wardrobe that she's bought, and I have no idea why she's hitting it with a hammer, because it's absolutely not necessary for its construction. So just ignore the banging in the background and the shouting people who are exercising at this late at night and shouting. Let's get some cards for you, Capricorn. Can I have 3 cards for Capricorn's current energy, please? I feel like the cards we need have fallen out here to the right, but there's a ton of them. I'm not going to take them, so I'm going to put them back in and shuffle them in. Hopefully they'll try and come out individually. 3 cards for Capricorn, please. Okay, I'm going to take that one. I'm going to take this one that's flipped here, the Chariot as well. And we want just one more for Capricorn, please. What are you? Knight of Pentacles. That's intriguing. I did have one. Went right the way down there. I'm just going to pop that back in. What have we got at the bottom of the deck? We've got the 10 of Wands and the 5 of Cups and the 2 of Swords. But then the 9 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles behind it. And this is intriguing because the 2 of Swords talks about a decision, but often it's not a straightforward decision. It's a decision with resistance to it somewhere, because often we're talking about somebody who's trying to make a decision without consulting their emotions in the decisions making process, right? This woman's actually using a pendulum here. But on the one side we've got the 5 of Cups and the 10 of Wands. We have loss and grief. Right, check out that card there for the 5 of Cups. Doesn't that just get you right in the feels there? And we have the 10 of Wands, which is a card of burden. But on the other side of that we have the 9 of Pentacles and the 8 of Pentacles. Now, the Capricorn experience has been characterized, a lot, forever, by the need for security, the need to work, the need to goal set, the need to achieve, all of these sorts of things. But it seems like there's been a shift in what is important to you. And we've seen it unrolling over the course of this year. And rather than this being, work, as in career and all that sort of thing, what I'm seeing here is an understanding of the things that are important and a desire to work towards those. And part of that is, your security and your stability for you and for those that you love. But there's an emotional security and stability that I'm feeling off these cards too. And that's a place that you found difficult to navigate, Capricorn. And it's like all of the energy is kind of pushing you towards a point now where decisions need to be made. It's not enough to be aware of these things now. It's about making those changes. And I actually am really delighted by what I see here. Let me fix the light on this, because it really pisses me off when the focus shifts around like that. It's my fault, I forgot to press it at the beginning of the video. So we have, in your current energy, the Chariot, powerful, I like it. Even more, we have Temperance, I really, really like that. And then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Now this is cool. Knight of Pentacles is Virgo energy. The Chariot is Cancer, and Temperance is Sagittarius. The Chariot is a card of the self, but it's all parts of the self. And, you know, we live in a duality consciousness. There are two sides to every whole. Right? And so we have, you know, light and night and day, and light and shadow, and consciousness and the subconscious. We also have things like, you know, negative and positive, good and bad, polarities. The aim of the charioteer is often, for me, being the point of integration between these two things, right? So sometimes we can be talking about shadow work, but actually I don't feel like that's the case here for you. The Chariot card talks about movement, it talks about action, you know, and I feel like that's what we're talking about here, where I said, you know, there's no point in thinking about it anymore. It's time to start sort of moving on it. It's time to start taking some action in some sort of way. And here we are with the Chariot. It's forward motion, and it's happening now. The fact that it's come up with the Temperance card, I find absolutely wonderful. But even the picture on this particular one really lends some weight to the interpretation that I am feeling here for you. It's like it's an hourglass. Time is running out. More than that, there's a skeletal hand. It is, over the top of it. It is in some ways a memento mori. A reminder that death is at hand. It is ever present, you know. I'm not suggesting any of you are about to shuffle off your mortal coil, but I am seeing that there is a desire in you to live the best version of your life that you can manage moving forward. Cognizant of the time that you have left. The whole year has been about trying to find the balance. Well, I think that's how it started. Trying to find the balance between, you know, work and family life, work and emotional life, work and inner life, all of these things, right? That's where it started. But as it's progressed, there have been notions of identity coming up, and how you choose to it's not how you choose, it's how you've constructed yourself. But it's almost like you've become aware that there is a self that exists beyond, on the other side of what you have constructed, on the inside of what you've constructed. And increasingly there has become a need to be able to access that. And maybe it's in your relationships outside of you that you're now starting to notice that that needs work. And that could be with close family, that could be with partners, that could be children, you know, take it as it applies to you. But I'm looking at this egg timer, and there's just this tiny little seedling here at the bottom. And there's a need to water that, you know. It's just there. Oh, the camera can pick it up. It's time to not just water it, but to access it, right? To give it what it needs to nurture it in a lot of ways. And this is where your mind is at the moment, right? It's not now just about a work-life balance. That's where it started, but it's spiraled so much deeper than that. And perhaps you already, you know, you knew for a period of time that this was something that needed to occur, but there was always something else to do. There were, you know, busy achieving, busy smashing all of your goals. But there's something else now, and it feels important to you, important enough that you will take your eye away from the goals that you have set yourself and look to find ways to get the seedling to grow. Yeah, and that's where the Knight of Pentacles comes in, and it's pleased to see it here. But there's some trepidation about it, because you're not entirely sure that you're going to like what you see in there. But whether you like it or not, the need to deal with it is becoming more and more pressing. We've got Medusa here, and she's holding a snake. Now, most of us would recoil from that, but actually, you know, Medusa is presumably at one with the snake, and the snake is very important to her. You know, it is part of her. So whilst you might not like what you find inside, it is important that you take it, because you understand what is important now and you're moving forwards on that basis. It's really positive stuff, Capricorn. I like it a lot. Let's have a look for the lesson in here for you. Can I tell you the lesson for Capricorn, please? Perhaps we need a different or perhaps that was the lesson, who knows. I have some indication as to the lesson for Capricorn, this energy that they're in now, please. Yep. I mean, that's so very beautifully clear. We have the Nine of Pentacles at the bottom of this deck again as well. And it's followed by the Seven of Cups, and then the Four of Wands. And I think that this is really important. You know, the Nine of Earth is Nine of Pentacles as it is here. You know, there's been times where, Capricorn, you felt like half a person, and you didn't like that, but you didn't understand why. You didn't understand how that had occurred. Now, over 2020, you've been doing quite a bit of deep work, you know, getting to know yourself, and you're now reaching towards the whole. Like that's what the Chariot tells me here. And you want to take ownership of the good, the bad and the ugly, so that you can be whole. You know, we've spoken about it before. You know, those things that other people seem to find effortless, that you have really struggled with, and you know, your response to that, rather than dealing with it there and then, was to kind of shelve it and go, I've got a plan, I need to work on the plan, I need to stay focused. Yeah. But a lot of it was because, you know, your understanding of your internal space was a little bit like this. Like, I'm not going to go and investigate too deeply because there are things with teeth in there and I'm not sure that I can deal with that. But I'm really rather pleased to see that we've got the Four of Wands and we've got Death underneath there. Now, the Four of Wands is about home. Not just the four walls that you live in, but the people that you surround yourself with. It's the creation of a foundation for yourself where the people are just as important as everything else. Now, the transformation that we're talking about here is really rather profound, and it's something that is self-instigated, and it needs to be, honestly, because nobody's going to tell a fucking Capricorn what to do. It's just going to get ignored, you know. But I see you kind of tentatively diving into this because of this feeling that you have now, that what you're doing is important. And no matter whether it has teeth or not, it needs to be done. It needs to be addressed. And it's absolutely borne out by what we see here in terms of the lesson. Now, we have 3 major Arcana cards, and that in itself is quite telling, because It's kind of big energy stuff. And the very first one is the moon. Right? The point of this energy is about learning to look within and being comfortable to do so. In fact, in a lot of ways, you know, once you get used to the act of going within, you start actively looking for discomfort, because that's what shows you where the issues are. Right? If you were totally comfortable with your insides, there wouldn't be a fucking problem, would there? But you're not, and so there is. And learning to look within is the first step in that. Now, the next card that you have is the Hierophant, and this is really quite interesting. It's Taurian energy, and it speaks of structure, which is something that Capricorn likes generally, because you are empire builders, right? You're always about building new structures. But this Hierophant is really quite disturbing. Honestly, it's from the Lost Forest deck, and I adore this deck. It's interesting, actually, that the Earthflesh wouldn't talk to me there, and he wanted to be this deck. And now this card's come out, I understand why, because it's the only card that from any deck that I've got, where it's really quite a dark and menacing card. Now, I don't know if the camera can pick this up terribly well, but on this corner here, we've got a skeleton in the tree, and there's actually true of down here as well. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. There are skeletons in your tree, and your tree itself, rather than growing straight and tall and true, it's a bit twisted. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but the trunk is twisted and the boughs are a bit twisted, and it's like there's an understanding of the way that you are internally structured is you haven't been given an opportunity to grow straight. Like, I know I mention it all the time, but that tweet that I read once, you know, in astrology we don't say we have childhood trauma, we say we have Capricorn placements. This is exactly what it's talking about for me here, because from the outset that tree was growing twisted. Right? Maybe it didn't have enough sun, maybe it wasn't planted in the right place, you know, whatever it is, but you're not going to be able to do anything about the tree. But you can make the environment that it's in more healthy, and you can make the growth that comes from it hereafter healthier. You know, there is restorative work that you can do on this tree. But you need to go within and look at it. And then the final card in terms of, you know, the lesson is the Chariot. It's the incorporation, it's the individuation, it's about taking ownership of the light and the dark and the night and the day and the positive and the negative, all of the things that you can find within yourself. I mean, Capricorn, it's entirely possible that you have shoved a lot of your gold in there. A lot of the things that make you you. Right, and I know I've been harking on about this to you particularly a lot recently, but your presence in the world, like, it doesn't have value because of what you achieve. Right? It's great that you achieve stuff, but actually you have value all of your own by being a soul and being here. And you need to allow yourself gently the opportunity to explore that. Now it feels like that's what you're doing now, and I'm here for this all day. Like I said, I think the nature of Capricorn is undertaking somewhat of a shift, and maybe, just maybe, it's Saturn's going into Aquarius on the 21st of December. It's coming out of Capricorn, where it has been for all of this time, and it is an oppressive energy. It is about karma, and it is about working hard, and it is about, in some ways, kind of suffering with things. There's a lightening of the load coming here, and its influence has been destabilizing all of this year, and maybe the Capricorns that I've been reading for have sensed that, they've known that, they've felt that shift. And it's entirely proper that you be here right now doing this the way that you're doing it, with what is going on celestially, you know, in play. Let's get you some advice. some cards of advice for Capricorn, please. Hello. Okay. Capricorn. Thank you. Capricorn. Got the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. You are in search of truth, not just any truth, but your truth, your essential truth, because you haven't quite found it yet, but you are very, very close, tantalizingly close to starting the process that will help you find it. The first card of advice that you've got is the Hermit. It's the card of Virgo in the Major Arcana. And honestly, it's about stillness. It's about halting, which is something that you've been learning to do this year, and being still so long that the answers that are all within you start to bubble to the surface, right? There is nothing outside of you that can give you the answers that you seek at the moment. They're all inside you. But look how green that card is, right? Green is the color of the heart chakra. It's about cracking that open and allowing some vulnerability to leak out. It's allowing other people to get in there, and bring some value to your life. But don't be afraid. There's this fucking terrifying creature that's kind of burst out there. Like, don't be afraid of what you're going to find within, because I think that actually that creature is working with you rather than against you. If you want something to burst things open, a big gnarly warthog to do it. But the other two cards of advice that you got were the Four of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. The Four of Pentacles talks about the need to release. That's what that is. It's about holding on too tight to things. And the Seven of Swords is about deception. Now that can be, people being nefarious around you, but it can talk about self-deception as well. And so these two cards together come to mean, release the self-deception, because that's an intrinsic part of what you have been experiencing. When you have constantly shifted your attention away from yourself, your internal space, to the validation that you get externally by achieving. It's led you to think that there is nothing inside, and you couldn't be more wrong. You couldn't be further from the truth. And as you release that self-deception and give yourself permission to go inside and seek that little sapling that is there now, actually, with the work that you've done this year, it's become increasingly apparent that it is there for you. Well, you're opening yourself up to something really rather beautiful, and just like looking at the fact that this is all celestial, and I was talking about celestial stuff and planets and things. None of us are immune to the effects of the planets, even if we don't believe in any of that stuff. And I think the fact that you're sitting watching here means that you're probably cognizant of that fact. But it's time to get to know who you really are, rather than what you told yourself you weren't. Yeah, okay, Capricorn, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that you found something here that is useful for you. And like I said, if you want to have a look at the 2021 video, that's down there in the description box. But other than that, know that I love you very much, and I will see you very soon.